Hello, hello, and welcome back to Manifesting Minds. We are going to dive right back into this topic of trust. Trust the universe and let it do its job. So, the last video, we talked a lot about why we need to just go with the flow and how important that is energetically. Today, we're going to dive into that a little bit more. And what I'm not really going to dive into is why we have a hard time letting go of the control. I know everybody who perhaps doesn't feel very trusting has reasons to feel like that. We're not going to go into that yet. I'll dive into that towards the end of the video. We'll go into that just a little bit. So for right now, what I really want to focus on is the energy, this concept of like attracts like. And whatever energy you have, poof, that is the magnet for how manifesting and how the law of attraction works. So we are manifesting all the time according to whatever the energy is that we have in the moment. So let's talk about this energy of not trusting. What exactly is that? What does it mean, or what does it feel like energetically to not trust? Well, I've got these handy dandy little graphics here to help explain what is the opposite of trust. When we are in a state of not trusting, our pigeon little number 2 here says that energy is distrust, mistrust, doubt, disbelief, holding, keeping, kind of like a closed kind of feeling, uncertainty, disbelief, distrustfulness, suspect, maybe kind of like in that suspicious kind of category. So if you are feeling any of those energies, and obviously you buy into the concept of manifesting, or else you wouldn't be listening to this. If that's the energy that you have, what are you going to be attracting into your life? More of the same, probably. In fact, it probably creates a feeling that's kind of like this, like you're alone, like everything has to be done by yourself. And that energy is hard. That is struggling uphill all by yourself. It does make it feel that everything you do, you're the only one that you can count on. And even just energy, forget about manifesting, forget about law of attraction, walking around with that feeling, would you put that on a high vibration level? Or does that feel like that's probably a little bit more on the lower energetic scale? That's probably a little bit more on the energetic scale. So we want to replace that with something that's a lot more healthy. So here we've got our little pigeons to help us explain what feelings we're going for. What are some other synonyms for the word trust? Faith, confidence, entrusting, belief, reliance, hope, confide, charge, belief. So as you're thinking about these words on an energetic level, when you're full of faith, belief, hope, just for a second, maybe you can imagine a time where you actually felt one of those feelings, that hope, that belief. Notice what a positive, energetic feeling that is. Notice on that energetic scale, would you layer it, or rate it, down here? Or is that a higher vibrating feeling? Obviously, it's a higher vibrating feeling. When we have that higher vibrating feeling, we feel like we are connected to the universe. We feel like everything is working. And so, as you see, it would make sense that this feeling would be a lot more supportive of manifesting than that feeling, right? That's what we're going for. So we're specifically talking about energies here and not the justifications for why. Why? Okay. I'm going to explain a little bit about the brain's natural confirmation bias programming, because the brain is designed for us to prove our own beliefs constantly. So the brain takes in approximately 11 million bits of data per second. There are some experts that say that that's even like 20 million bits of data per second. Think about the enormity of all of that information, right? Even if we just stay on the low side of 11 million, you got 11 million, 22 million, 33 million, 44 million bits of data your satellite brain just took in. Then we have the unconscious part of the brain, and the unconscious part of the brain is able to filter approximately 40,000 bits of data per second. So, and then we are consciously aware of this teeny tiny nugget of 40 bits of data. So we go from 11 million to 40,000 to 40 in this funnel of information. So how does your brain determine which 40,000 bits of information to filter out of this enormous 11 million up to 20 million bits of data per second? Well, it's sorting for what already matches you energetically. It's sorting for proof of your beliefs. When you're holding on to one of those lower energies that we've already talked about, that's on that lower Hertz scale of energy. When you're holding one of those energies of mistrust, suspicion, feeling all alone, you're holding into those energies. This filtering system in your unconscious mind is going to pull from that 11 million bits of data and serve you your proof on a platter. So when people say, they want the evidence or they want the proof and then they'll trust, that is putting the cart before the horse. When we change our energetic state first, it changes the filtering system, and then we are able to see the proof because it's now matching that energetic state. Now, I'm sure that probably sounds weird because we are in a society that prides ourselves on logic, prides ourselves on fact, and we don't want to make decisions based off of feelings because that's dumb. Except it's okay, it is a feeling, but what are some of the other words when we say feeling? What we're really saying is energy, frequency, and those are scientifically measurable. When we're basing things off of a feeling, let's think about how silly logic comes in. How do you logically explain or justify a frequency that's coursing through your body? Let's call lack of trust, let's call doubt, let's call it frequency 456. Okay, so your body is feeling this frequency 456, and your logic brain goes, oh, yeah, because this person sucks. Yeah, because this person did this to me. Yeah, this person did this to me. That's why my body is feeling frequency 456. Does that logically even make sense? Perhaps not. Perhaps not. What if it's because we're feeling this suspicion, we're feeling this frequency 456, and then the filter in our brain says, shoo, here you are, it's because of so-and-so. Shoo, here you are, it's because this happened at work. Shoo, we're using confirmation bias to justify our own frequency. Ooh, maybe let that sink in for a second because that's pretty profound. Instead of considering them as feelings, then justifiable feelings because of something that happened in the past or because of something that somebody said to us, perhaps when we're talking about manifesting, maybe it was the energy or the frequency itself that contributed to those things happening, that contributed to that dynamic. And by changing the frequency, we change that filter, and all of a sudden, new information that wasn't previously processed now becomes available. If you are emitting, if you are feeling that frequency 456 of lack of trust and doubt, how are you ever going to see the evidence, even if it's right in front of you? I mean, have you ever tried to convince somebody of anything? And as long as they're in that feeling of disbelief, doubt, self-defense, they will never see the evidence that you put right in front of them, no matter how logical it is, because their brain isn't filtering for it. You see? It is up to us to change our own frequency. It's up to us to change our energetic state. And as we were looking at with the graphics, not only is that physically healthier for us to feel hope, connected, belief, optimism, not only is that physically more beneficial, but that's how the law of attraction works. Then our, confirmation bias kicks in, but now it's towards the positive, and it's handing us what's matching our frequency on a silver platter. Okay, so that's today's topic. So in quick summary here, trust and let the universe do its job. Trust, and you allow yourself to align with your filter, which will help you in your manifesting. Okay, please, please, please like, subscribe, share this video, and I will talk to you soon.